Hello everyone. Welcome to this pre-scene analysis video that we have created for you. This pre-scene analysis is for the management case study exam that will be held in May 2021 and August 2021. We will be using the same pre-scene over two windows. Now the company that has been given to us as part of the pre-scene is called Trianair. Now, this is the first part of the pre scene analysis that we are bringing for you. The entire pre scene analysis, which is part one and part two combined, is about 2 hours or 2 hours 15 minutes and runs you through each and every part of the pre scene released by SEMA with the financial analysis in a very detailed, in a very easy and simple way, so that you can gather up and remember most of the important points that we are presenting for you. So before we move on to the pre-scene analysis, the first thing that we ask everybody to do is to view our industry analysis. Now, the industry analysis is a file or a document or a video that we have created that helps you first understand what the executive and the corporate training industry is like in the real world. Because if I directly take you to the pre-scene and start abruptly explaining what is Trinair, what the industry is like, it might be a little bit difficult for you to grasp. That is why we created an industry analysis explanation, which is specifically created by us, and it's a separate document which is not released by SEMA. It's something that we have created to help you bridge the gap between knowing nothing and knowing the basics of the executive training industry. So when you start with this pre-scene analysis, you already have good ideas and good points in your mind which you picked up from the industry analysis, because you'll know the industry characteristics and then you can compare it better to the Trianair situation. So if you have not done my industry analysis yet, I recommend you to first go through my industry analysis. The industry analysis is part of our management case study exam mini course, which is absolutely free. I have left a link in the description below that takes you to the management case study exam mini course. And once you register for it, it's completely free. It gives you access to the industry analysis, gives you access to important E2 notes, it gives you access to the E2 mind maps. It explains to you what the ICANN statements are, what the exam blueprints are. And there is a lot more important material that is available there for absolutely free. So I recommend you to move to my to the description below, and there you will see a link that will take you to the management case study exam mini course, which is absolutely free, and it gives you all the details that you require to start your study. Having said that, let's move on, and I'm introducing myself now. My name is Devansh, and I will be the lead tutor for your management case study exam. I have a strong background with SEMA specific case study knowledge and have been recognized as a SEMA registered tuition provider as well. So you are in good hands. I'm looking forward to working with you on this case study exam, providing you with a winner's mindset and top quality case study material to make your study interesting as well as flexible. I will be leading all the discussions for the management case study exam, will be answering all your doubts, and the entire case study introduction, the pre-scene, the industry analysis is done by me, because we have that wealth of experience, we have that knowledge of analyzing various pre-scenes until now, and we are able to pick out the important topics that SEMA generally ask. So without further ado now, let's start with our pre-scene analysis part 1. So the first part we go to is the introduction. So Trinair is an unquoted company that offers executive training courses. The company is based in capital city in Northland, but it offers its courses at several international locations. So as part of the introduction, they're telling you that you are an unquoted company. So what is an unquoted company? We must discuss the benefits and the limitations of being an unquoted company. The advantages are of being unquoted, there is less stringent reporting requirements, less government and shareholder scrutiny because it's not listed, it's not quoted. But the disadvantages will be that sometimes there may be difficulties in raising capital. You don't really know the real value of your company because there is no market value, there is no objective market value which is present. So keep in mind that you are an unquoted company. So as you can see, we read the pre-scene word by word and we try to identify the parts that are unique, that give us some ideas, that that help us understand the company better. So we will always highlight this and explain important parts to you word by word. So please follow us very carefully. Your major job is offering executive training courses. The company is based in capital city in Northland. So Northland is the fictional country that has been given to you, but you offer courses at several international locations. So there are going to be courses which are offered in international locations, and because they mention international locations, we see that it's a global company. So foreign exchange risks, the whole foreign exchange for scenario will be something that we need to take into account, and this directly points to your F2 syllabus. So again, as you can see, every part of the pre-scene is highlighted and we show you important syllabus aspects of E2, P2 and F2, as well as explaining every part of the pre-scene word by word to you. Moving on, we speak about Northland. So, Northland is a developed country that has a high standard of living. The country has an excellent higher education system with relatively high proportions of its population holding undergraduate and postgraduate degrees. So they are telling you that the country that you are currently situated in is a developed country, has excellent education systems, and there are large population of people which are holding undergraduate and postgraduate degree. Now for a company that is offering executive training courses, this is a very I will say big advantage for us, because the country that we are currently situated in has a high standard of living, has a high education system, has a high population holding undergraduate and postgraduate degrees, which makes your offering of executive training services a little bit more lucrative because people have access to that. So, what we will say is the demand conditions are going to be strong. So, if you link it to your syllabus in E2, the Porter's diamond model comes into the picture here, which tells you why this particular country is better than other countries for this particular industry, which is the executive training industry. So, our country, Northland, is good, has great demand conditions, which further means that people will have the interest and the disposable income to spend on services like this. So in Northland, there will be big companies, multinational corporations whose executives will want to take part in executive training courses which are offered by us, Trionair. So what we learn is that us being in Northland is a slight comparative advantage for us because our local market is well developed. Our local market is very supportive of the services that we are offering. Moving on, they tell us that Northland's currency is the N dollars. So anywhere in the pre-scene or whenever you're writing your mocks, Please write in dollars and not only dollars. Northlandian company law requires companies to prepare their financial statements in accordance with the International Financial Reporting Standards IFRS. Again, this is your F2 syllabus for which you will be using our notes, our revision course that we have given you. You don't need anything else because they are very well compiled, they are very well summarized, and they tell you what is important from each aspect. So you are a financial manager at Trioneer's head office. Your role is that of a financial manager. I have explained the role of a financial manager in my introduction video. So I hope you've gone through that. But if not, I'm still specifying it over here. So your role as a finance manager includes a medium term focus. Whenever you are making decisions, suggesting something, keep in mind that your focus, your suggestions need to be medium term solutions. So let's say a 3-year time period, a 4-year time period. Keeping that in mind, you come up with a recommendation. Your job will be risk management, your P2 syllabus, long term financing, your F2 syllabus, financial reporting, again F2 syllabus, advising top management, so your E2 and P2 syllabus, and considering stakeholders when making decisions, again P2 syllabus. So as you can see, your role is very much conjoining between the E2, P2 and F2 syllabus, and that is why we ask you to have a strong base before you start with the pre-scene analysis. So P2 is the most important pillar for your management case study exam. We help you focus on that pillar when you're doing your revision with us, and I'm sure you started to gain pointers and knowledge about the same. But remember that the management case study exam requires knowledge from E2, P2 and F2 for you to be able to write a well informed answer. So keep that in mind and we'll keep moving on. So they tell us that our primary responsibilities are associated with management accounting, which is your P2 syllabus, and we report to Zosi Sikata, the senior financial manager, who reports directly to the finance director. So there is you, who is the finance manager. You report to Zosi Sikata, who is the senior finance manager, and then this person reports to the finance director. So there is a hierarchy which is set, which we are going to speak about a little bit more when we move to our organizational structure discussion, which is later in the pre-scene. So because we are going to look at management accounting, we need to remember P2 syllabus. Also, because we are an unlisted company, there can be a very realistic scenario in your exam that there is a future listing possibility. Let's say they give you a scenario where the company is now getting listed. So if this happens, what will be your initial public offering steps? This is your F2 syllabus. Then when you are listed, what will be your earnings per share? What will be your corporate governance relevance? So earnings per share is your F2 syllabus. Corporate governance forms part of your P2 and a little bit of the E2 syllabus. So as you can see, while we are going through the pre-scene, we are also giving you important syllabus areas to keep in mind, so you can revise them, you can keep them in mind, as there is a very good chance of them coming up in the exam. So until now, we did the introduction part. We now move to the executive training industry. So over here, as part of the pre-scene analysis that SEMA has released, they have included a brief industry explanation inside the pre-scene analysis. But with all my students, everybody studying with us, we first give them a separate industry analysis to do before the pre-scene analysis, so that they already know what the executive training industry, the corporate training industry is like in the real world, so that when we move to these parts of the pre-scene, you already have good ideas in your mind. So if you've not viewed my industry analysis yet, I request you to first do that. It will be really beneficial in giving you a head start while we do this brief industry analysis, which is given by SEMA as part of the pre-scene. So, executive training companies provide short courses, typically lasting for 3 to 5 working days. They provide course participants, who are known as delegates, with the opportunity to update their skill or to develop new skills and knowledge that they would be requiring in their workspace. Now, you will already know this, most of you, let's say, because you will have done my introductory industry analysis, which I request everybody to do before the pre scene. Now, executive training courses take a variety of different forms and they are provided by a range of different organizations. So, as we read in the industry analysis, this market is fragmented. There are many different regional players, local players, and international players. Hence, competition analysis and having good industry background slash experience is going to be key for this industry. So keep in mind, a big feature of this industry is going to be competition, and you will need to keep an eye out for competition. You will always have to look at the industry. You will always have to have experience to make good decisions. So, this is where we have started the industry analysis given in the pre scene. But if you have done my industry analysis, which we recommend everybody to do before the pre scene, then you will already know this competition part. You will already know the market segmentation part, which really again helps you to be one step ahead rather than just starting directly with the executive training industry, which is given in the pre scene. Now, since we are talking about competition, since we are talking about, fragmentation in this industry as far as competitors go, it's important to look at the nature of this industry. Now, the nature of this industry is going to be one where barriers to entry are really low. Why? Because it's easy to set up a training course in today's modern environment because of the online presence. The costs are relatively low. So, if you have the knowledge and the background, you will be able to set up a executive training course, and hence barriers to this industry are quite low. And that is why the threat of substitutes, the rivalry amongst competitors will also be a feature of your market. So this brings in your E2 syllabus, which is the Porter's five forces aspect. If you're looking at an industry analysis, an external analysis, then the Porter's five forces is a good model. And this model tells us that in an industry like this, threat of substitutes, rivalry amongst competitors, and the barriers to entry being low raises the competitive nature of this industry. So, something for us to keep in mind. Next, many colleges and universities offer executive training courses, some of which are led by prominent academics. So, many colleges and universities offer this, and the people who take these courses, who lead these courses, are prominent professors, tutors, whatever you want to call them. There are also many private sector training companies. So over here, what I can see is if I have prominent executive mentors, trainers, coaches, then that can be seen as a competitive advantage for me. Because if I am a company that's offering training courses and I have the best possible trainers, that is my competitive advantage because those trainers are working with me. Next, course fees are generally paid by delegates' employers, so it is usually possible to charge a high price for these courses. Senior managers and directors are often entrusted with key decisions, and so enhancing their competence through relevant training can be a highly cost effective investment for big companies. Training is also potentially good for morale. Training courses provide delegates with an opportunity to step back from day to day working pressures. They also reassure delegates that they are valued by their employers. So they're because the employers are taking their personal development very seriously. Having directors and senior managers participate in this executive training sets a good example for junior employees, sets a good culture in your organization. So, all of these points that we spoke about are my key marketing points. If I am an executive training courses offering company, then these are the points which I will mainly market around. That is good for morale, it's good for the culture, it's good to reassure delegates that they feel valued. And so let's just keep all of this in mind and create a marketing plan. So whenever you're speaking about marketing, whenever you're speaking about advertising, promotions, anything of that sort, you can keep these points at the center of your discussion and really elevate your answer. So make sure that whatever information we are giving you, you keep in your mind, because this is good information, good material to use as part of your mock exams once you start them with me. And it's also very good to include in your actual exam. Once we go to mock writing, we will also show you how you can further incorporate the pre-seen in your answers. But for that, you need to have good basic pre-seen knowledge, which we are giving you. So keep all of these important points in mind. Now, they tell us that your training courses take two main forms. There are public courses and then there are bespoke courses. So, public courses are open courses that are advertised publicly and anybody can take it as long as the fee is paid. The course outline is published in advance, and so the delegates can decide whether it suits their needs or it doesn't. Everything is very standardized in a public course. The fact that the outline is developed by the training company's experts suggests that it covers material that should be of value, perhaps because the course facilitator regards it as current or because it is frequently misunderstood. So, having superior trainers and creating clear public course outlines again can be seen as a comparative advantage in this industry. So, if me as a company, Trionair, when we start discussing what Trionair does, what its major processes are, as we move deeper into the pre scene, we'll try to figure out, do we have superior trainers? Do we have clear public course outlines? If we do, that's a comparative advantage for us. Next, delegates enjoy the opportunity to interact with their fellow participants who will come from different employers and different backgrounds. All delegates have an interest in the course subject matter, so they will share their insights, they will seek advice about the practical issues arising from the course content. So, networking and creating a connection with different delegates with different senior managers in different with different backgrounds is a plus point of this industry, again something that you can market on. Class sizes are usually restricted to a maximum of say 20 to 25 delegates. That makes it easier for individuals to engage with the course content and with the course creator, with the course leader. Better attention can be given. Then there are bespoke courses. Now, bespoke courses are designed in consultation with clients with a view to covering material that is relevant to the client's organizations and needs. So, let's say a company comes to you and tells you that I want to teach 20 of my senior managers accounting. That will then become a bespoke course for that client's company. So, developing your organizational relationships can be seen as a key comparative advantage for this industry. Because if you have good organizational relationships, they will reach you, they will use your training for their bespoke requirements, and that adds to your market reputation. So, there are public courses, there are bespoke courses that are offered in this industry. Remember, until now, we are only talking about the executive training industry. We have not spoken about Trionair and its business, operations till now. Further, on bespoke courses, The course might cover a particular topic area from the perspective of the client's industry. So let's say they want 20 delegates to be taught accounting in the oil and gas industry, for just a simple example. That becomes very specific. For example, again, if a company has recently appointed new directors, then it might develop a training course to help them understand their responsibilities. Bespoke courses are often given to delegates an opportunity to relax and interact as a management team without the immediate pressures of being in a work environment. So it helps in motivation of the managers as well. Class sizes for bespoke courses are determined by the client but are generally small. In principle, it would be possible to offer training to an individual delegate if that was what the client wished. Now, executive training courses take two main forms, either developing new skills or updating the skills that a delegate has. The early careers of company directors and senior managers typically start in a functional or a professional area. For example, engineering or finance. A person coming into a certain company either starts in a functional or a professional area. That's where he's going to start. And as his career progresses, he's given more responsibilities. So, to cope up with these responsibilities, and to make sure that he is able to make decisions, this is where the need for executive training, executive development comes into the picture. For example, a geologist might work her way through the ranks of an oil company before being appointed to the board of directors. As a newly appointed director, she would almost certainly find it useful to receive some training on what her new responsibilities are. This is where these executive training companies really come into the picture. Training companies frequently offer courses covering generic skills required by senior managers such as leadership, corporate governance, budgeting, financial management. All of this is covered. So remember, there are public courses, there are bespoke courses, and the reason for these courses has just been explained to you to help with a manager who is newly appointed, who has newly gained a role, or needs updating of his or her skills. Next, training companies also provide courses that update or extend skills and knowledge in ways that are appropriate to the professional backgrounds of senior managers and directors. For example, the following courses might be offered to HR professionals, which is development in employment law, recruitment using social media, artificial intelligence. So, all of these are new areas that are coming up due to modern technology. So, what you can say is your courses or the courses that your company offers must focus around the new trends, new technologies, new innovations, because this is what is getting people excited. This is what is people want to update their skills to. So these courses are often designed to meet the needs of professional bodies for CPD purposes, which is continuing professional development. For example, the Northland Institute of Personal and Development requires its members to complete an annual return that confirms that they have taken appropriate steps to remain current. They are in sync with the current standards. So there is considerable competition in this industry, which we already know. New training companies require little investment. We spoke about this, and that is why there is the threat of substitutes, there is the rivalry. Most large hotels rent out meeting rooms that are fully equipped with all of the necessary audiovisual equipment required for presentations. So, trainers are often employed as contractors for the duration of their course. So, let's say I am offering a course on development in employment law. So, I will hire a trainer who is an expert in this, and he will be hired only for that particular 5 days or 1 week to give that particular course. So, it's mainly on contract basis. This is the industry norm. Remember, we are still talking about the industry only. Trainers are expected to use their own laptop and presentation software. Now, all of these factors that we spoke about add to the competitive nature of this industry. Because little investment, trainers on contractors, the fixed costs are quite low. So, setting up an executive training company can be seen as an industry with little barriers, and hence the competition is going to be great. So this is the moment for us to think as to how we can be better than the competition, how we can scratch our head and stay one step forward. So these important points are something that we must keep in our mind as we keep moving on. Next, the low setup costs means that there is steady flow of newly established training companies. Costs are low, so there will always be new competitors coming into the market. The resulting competition also means that there is a very high failure rate, with many newly established companies struggling to generate sufficient revenue to remain viable. Not everybody that enters the market is successful, right? So there are people who will leave this market as well. There are relatively few well established training companies in this industry. These companies generally rely heavily on the repeat business from their corporate clients, who often work closely with training providers to develop relevant training courses for their senior management teams. So, as mentioned, developing your organizational or corporate relationships can be seen as a key competitive advantage in this industry, because they are going to be your major repeat clients, and that is what this industry is heavily relying on. So, a feature that we must keep in mind when we start to talk about Trioneer, we can keep in mind that, okay, do we have any good corporate relationships that is going to give us repeat business? If yes, then it's a good sign for my company, my business. So remember, until now, we were only speaking of the industry. Simple executive training industry background was being given to you, some of which you already knew because it was covered in my industry analysis that we did before. Now, finally, we start speaking about Trioneer, about our company. So Trioneer was founded in the 1990s. They've not given you the exact year, by the Nazir family. So we can roughly say that if we started in the 1990s, we have been in the market for a good 25, 30 years. They've not given us the exact year. So let's assume we have been in the market for 25 to 30 years, starting from 1990 to 2021, which is right now. That's closely 31 years. But let's say 25 to 30 years is a period that you have survived, sustained in this market, which means we may have garnered some goodwill or some resistance ability that we are able to thrive for so long. Now, have you seen any company in this whole wide world that exists for 25, 30 odd years without having a good offering, without having a set customer base? I don't think so. So, because you have been in the market for so long, you will have goodwill, you will have a reputation, you will have, market perception that has made possible for you to survive and grow over these number of years. Something to keep in mind. This is good for my business, right? You can keep in mind that we will have goodwill, reputation, and you can use this as part of your mock answers. Next, Asif and his sister Miriam were the original directors and they built the business together. This can also be seen as our comparative advantage, as these directors will have detailed knowledge about the business and their experience will be invaluable. They have worked from zero and they have got this company to a reputable status today. So they will know the ins and out, they will know everything about the company. That is a good thing, right? Asif and Miriam are on Trioneer's board. Asif is the executive chairman, and Miriam is the chief executive, or we can say CEO. Good that we have different people holding the positions of CEO and chairman. This is one of the rules of the UK Corporate Governance Code. But we'll speak more about the corporate governance once we get to the organizational structure, which is further into the pre-scene. But keep in mind, you were founded roughly 25 to 30 years ago, which means you have goodwill, reputation on your side. The people who started the business, Asif and Miriam, are going to be the ones who will have great experience, great knowledge, because they built the business from zero and they've got it up till here. Moving on, they have told us that Ryanair's head office is in Northland's capital city. It offers a wide variety of courses that are generally 3 to 5 working days in duration, with its longest course lasting 10 working days. Now, we need to keep these courses small as well as concise, because everybody who joins these courses are executives, are delegates who come from senior manager posts. So they might not have the time to spend 20 days, 25 days, or a month with you learning and updating their skills. So, getting the job done in small, concised days and periods in an interesting way is what is very important. So, short turnaround time means the capability to make quicker turnarounds. Small batches, quicker turnarounds means you can have more courses, more offerings. One of the perks, or you can say one of the characteristics of this business. Also, we offer a wide variety of courses, and making sure that our courses meet the latest trends needs to be seen as a key consideration. So, your product mix, the kind of products in this case are the kind of courses that we offer, need to be continuously updated, need to be exciting, need to be innovative, need to be something that the market is really interested in. So the product mix question becomes really interesting to keep in mind. Next, Trainer is based in an office building that it owns and uses as a base for 60 staff. So you own an office building. The staff are split in admin and accounting, global marketing, and course management. There are also 3 overseas sales offices, each of which are incorporated as a 100% subsidiary in its host country. So, in the country in which it's situated, that's where it's been incorporated as a 100% owned subsidiary. So over here, because this is mentioned, your subsidiary accounting, your consolidation of the financial position, consolidation of the statement of profit or loss becomes a very important syllabus area, which directly takes you to F2. So far, our asset portfolio includes 1 office building in Northland and 3 overseas sales offices. This means consideration about revaluation, depreciation, must be kept in mind. That can be a realistic scenario as well. Now, we have our offices in 3 overseas sales places. So, are we looking at further expansion? There are fast growing markets in this industry, which we dealt with in our industry analysis, such as the Asia Pacific region. So, are we looking at those countries? Are we looking at further expansion? This can be a question that you keep in mind. Whenever you are suggesting a growth prospect, you can say that since we have 3 overseas sales services or offices, we can look at expanding into further faster growing nations in this particular industry to make sure we are the first mover and we can capture that market. So, see how you can use this good pre seen information or knowledge that we are giving you to quickly just include when you are writing a mock answer, and it really enhances your answer, adds value to your answer. So, make sure you are with me and go through the material that is showcased on your screen, because it really is important. As we move on, they have told us that these employ a total of 24 staff whose job is to market courses to potential delegates from that host country. So, we are talking about the 3 sales offices that we have. They have 24 staff in total whose job is to market courses to those potential clients in their host countries. So the head office costs and head office staff are split into three main departments: admin and accounting, global marketing, and course management, which they already mentioned to us. Under course management, they have said that each training course has a designated course manager who liaises with the delegates before they travel and who will be present at the venue to supervise the course and deal with any problems. So, the course management, under the course management staff, there is always going to be a course manager who is designated to a particular training course, and he makes sure that he deals with everything related to that course. So this is a clear indication about specialized departments, and this tells us that there is a functional structure in place in my organization. Again, once we go to the organizational structure, we will speak about the functional structure, the divisional structure, and the matrix structure. But over here, there is a clear indication. That is why we need to mention it. Now, this is going to be a highly price sensitive market in my evaluation, and it depends on repeat customers, since all the competitors are offering the same services to the same customer group. So the focus here has to be on developing the brand and efficient services to maintain your high margins, to maintain your course quality is going to be key in this particular market. So we'll first speak about marketing activities as a function in Trinair. So Trinair has an extensive client base that has drawn mainly from regions that had developing economies until recently, but that have transitioned to maturity. So we have an extensive client base. That is my comparative advantage, first and foremost. But this extensive client base was drawn mainly from regions that had developing economies. So they were developing, and we set up there and we gained a client base. But now these economies have become mature. So this showcases the need to open up new markets into developing nations which have huge growth potential in this industry. So we can say that one of the models that we follow is set up in developing economies, develop a client base in that market, and until it reaches maturity, stay there, then look at other markets, other expansion opportunities. So this is the current model that we have simply followed. So keep this in mind. And whenever you are writing a mock, you can have, whenever you're writing an answer in the exam as well, you can keep this in mind, saying that until now we have always looked at developing economies, set up there, gained a client base, and then kick on from there. So, these are just simple ideas that help you understand the company more. The more you understand the company, the more you read in detail about the company, the better and more informed mock answer you can write. Next, countries in those regions frequently have large number of professional people who occupy senior roles within indigenous and parastatal, which is government owned organizations. So developing nations have large number of professional people, and this is what my market is, right? So those managers are typically graduates and have significant business expertise. They share the same needs as managers from more developed countries to receive training that challenges them by exposing them to new ideas. So, Trainer takes two main approaches to marketing its courses. The first is course managers are active in developing and maintaining relationships with delegates and their employers so that they can look at further future bookings, or they can look at repeat business, because repeat business is one of the major categories in this industry. We already know that. So by having a course manager in place, speaking and developing relationships helps you promote future bookings. So course manager skills and competencies are going to be a key factor for us, because the better the course manager, the better he can incite people to work with us, to book, to look at future bookings with us. So course managers, having a good course manager is also important for my business. Next, course managers constantly seek useful intelligence, such as asking each course delegate for their contact details of the person who selects and books the course. So you will be storing all of these client detail, client information. Are we using it? So data analytics, big data becomes a key opportunity for us to discuss, because you are gathering all of these different course information, customer information. So are we using it? That is something that is really important in this industry. As we move forward, I'm going to give you a supplementary reading document for big data and the executive training industry, or the e-learning industry, or the learning industry in particular. So you can have ideas in your mind as to how can big data be used, how can data analytics technology be used. Next, course managers maintain regular email contact with past delegates, recommending the upcoming scheduled course. This is how you are marketing. Next, the three overseas sales offices are each located in different foreign countries. Each host country is home to many other companies who have booked courses in the past. So we develop a market and then set up our subsidiary to consolidate on that market. So, like I said, see a developing market, set up a subsidiary, consolidate on that market. Once reaches its maturity stage, look for a new developing market. That's what we are mainly been doing till now. So these are our major approaches to marketing that Trioneer has been taking so far. So with that, we have come to the end of the first part of our pre-scene analysis. And as you will have found, it was very informative. It ran you through the important parts of the pre-scene. It ran you through the important syllabus areas from E2, P2, and F2. For our full pre-scene analysis, which is a total of 2 hours or 2 hour 15 minutes, and to access our full material that includes each and everything that you will require for your case study, you can write to us on help@fintutors.com. That's our email. Or you can reach me directly, because our personal attention is something that all of our students value, and we will give you the information on signing up with us. For more details, you can also log on to our website, our MCS page. You can chat with us and you can get your doubts solved. And you will see that it's a very, very clear, simple, and easy process that makes sure that a student is supported throughout their study with us. So I hope you have found this helpful.